This is a story about a pair of Missouri boys in the Big Apple. We arrived at LaGuardia Airport on July 8th at 10 a.m. And our hotel was at Times Square. So Chad's first thought was that we should have taken a taxi ride. And I look at him and I'm like, dude, if we take a taxi ride, who knows how expensive it's gonna be. It's literally in New York. I mean, we opted to go for the public transport, but we didn't know what to do. So there was this one Indian guy who was working at the airport. We go up to him and we ask him, hey, how do we get to Times Square? It was so funny. He was like, open Google Map. And Chad has an iPhone, so he opens up his regular apps map. No. Google Map. You open Google Map. And we open Google Map. And we typed in our destination. He took out a piece of paper that had all the bus lines and all the train lines in the city. And he drew us an entire map of how to get to our destination. And an hour later, we made it. We did it. We were at Times Square. We were in New York, and it was just such a beautiful feeling.
There's a Raising Cane's right there.
We're not going to Raising Cane's anymore.
Bro.
It tastes the exact same in St. Paul.
Immediately after Times Square, we wanted to go eat somewhere. We were really hungry. I mean, we had just been flying the whole morning. So we're sitting at this one crosswalk, and Chad was like, Borjan, left or right? And I say right. And we go down the right way. And just on the left corner, we see this in the wall, small Irish pub. It was called O'Casey's. And we were like, oh, let's go inside there. So we go into O'Casey's, and it was literally the most movie-like experience, because it turns out that the owner was sitting right there, and we were the only guests in the pub. So we just started talking and things, and I told him that I'm from Macedonia. Chad started talking that he's a wrestler and all these things. And he was so nice that he both bought us a drink. And he told us that on Wednesday, we were going to Broadway on Wednesday. So he said when we were going to Broadway on Wednesday, we should stop by at the pub, and we should tell Phil, who was the manager, to buy us another set of drinks. So we're really thankful for him. I'll put a picture of him. I took a picture with him. He's unfortunately going through chemotherapy right now. So O'Casey's Irish pub in Times Square, definitely a must try. Definitely my favorite pub in New York now, just because of the story. It was such a beautiful story. I just that story when we made it there and we were just talking and just gave us free drinks. I was like, you know what? It just hit me. We're like, you know what? We're not just in New York. We're not just in the city, but this is the mood. This is the story. This is where things happen. And obviously it was still the first day. So we just planned to go to Central Park that day. So the second day, we had tickets for the Statue of Liberty. And you've been seeing all these movies as a kid, TV shows, Statue of Liberty. You saw Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland fight there. And you're actually going to the Statue of Liberty. It was surreal. So we got on the train from Times Square all the way down to Battery Park. That's the entrance. You pass through security check. Loads of tourists. Like I mean, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, but it was full. Like it was packed with tourists. And you could see it in the distance. You could see it. You could see the Statue of Liberty. You're going on the ferry, and it's such a beautiful experience because you're just getting closer and closer to it. It just seemed like you were getting closer and closer to achieving one of your fantasies, one of your dreams.
Like, you've been in a ship for like weeks now.
3 weeks.
3 fucking weeks, and this is you finally see this motherfucker. Yeah, I want to get one where I'm like holding.
We completed a junior ranger badge, which was my first one I ever did. Cool thing to do. I would recommend it to like anyone.
We gotta fill this test out. Even on vacation, I'm doing tests. Let's get it.
Find the original torch in the museum. It's right here. Oh, we gotta find the replica. I was like, where is it? It's here, like right here.
Put your right hand up. And
As a junior ranger, I pledge to learn about and help protect our shared world and to stand for my own liberty and the liberty of others. That's so tough.
We had tickets to go to the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. We couldn't, unfortunately, go to the crown because it was booked for like 3 months in advance. It was still a nice sight up there at the pedestal. Like, you could just see all the skyline, you could see all the view. And I'm really glad that we had the chance to go there. We also went to Ellis Island afterwards. I didn't vlog anything there because honestly, it does have historical and cultural significance, but I just didn't think there was anything like super cool to do. Chad wanted to go and check his family heritage, but when he saw that he had to pay like $10, he was like, I don't want to know. So we just left back. We just went back. We got on the ferry that goes back to Battery Park.
Me and Chadwick are real OGs. We're gonna take the stairs to the pedestal of the Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty. 195 steps. Let's go.
Paki, što je su cenama na taksistine, bе? A pojeftino je ako fatam brod od Karpoš do Novo Lisića.
Dude, I said after we eat, let's go lift and then chill.
I gotta do a lore drop for this one. So back when I was on exchange in the US, I got selected for another scholarship which is called Civic Education Week, which sends you on a week-long State Department funded trip in Washington D.C. where they take you around all these museums, all these places. I call it the field trip of dreams, honestly. And I remember when I got into it, when I got accepted, I promised myself, I said to myself, if I get accepted into this, I'm buying a suit. I had never worn a suit beforehand in my life. First time wearing a suit. My tie was really undone. I didn't know how to do my tie. It was my first time in my life doing a tie. But you live and you learn. And ever since then, I just fell in love with suits. So when Chad told me that we're going to New York City, when I arrived in St. Louis, he pulled out his iPad and he was like, we're going to New York City these days. And I was like, yeah, let's go to New York City. And then I had the thought, I was like, Chad, one day we should wear suits. We should wear suits in New York City. We should feel like we're Wall Street businessmen. It was literally the most surreal day. We went to the Empire State Building.
Welcome to the world's most famous building. All right, we're coming up to the 80th floor. We're headed to the top of the Empire State Building right here in the heart of New York City.
After the Empire State Building, we went to Wall Street, took pictures there. That night, we went to Broadway. We saw The Lion King at Broadway. And that night, we were walking in Times Square. I was vlogging for my clip. We were walking in Times Square. And Chad out of nowhere, he just comes over and he's like, Borjan. He's like, what's up? And he's like, Alex Pereira's over there. I was like, there's no way Alex Pereira's there, because we had watched his fight against Yuri Prohaska 2 weeks prior. And he's now in Times Square with us. And I just look at him I glance him out from a distance, and I'm like, there's no way that's Alex Pereira. That's probably like one of his twins or something. It was him. It was literally Alex Pereira. But people not a lot of people recognized him. There were some people that recognized him, but when me and Chad went to take a picture with him, that's when a lot of also people started coming over and taking pictures with him. He didn't have any security with him, so it was just crazy. Like, we manifested. I remember that morning I said to myself, I want to see a famous person in New York City today. And we actually did it. We saw Alex Pereira. I think that we couldn't have not picked a better famous person to see that night than Alex Pereira. And it was crazy. And the next day we flew back. And honestly, as a final message for this video, for this vlog, I was supposed to go to New York City back in May to be an overseer for the presidential elections, the Macedonian presidential elections. But my visa got canceled. And up until that moment, I didn't really feel it to go to the US this summer and meet with Chad. He had been calling me over in his family was also inviting me over for the summer, but I just didn't feel it in me. And the moment my visa got canceled, I remember it was the first time in my life where I didn't feel any negative emotions for a supposed rejection. So that was the moment where I actually was really calm, and I didn't have like any like anxious thoughts or bad thoughts, or like I felt judgmental about myself, or felt judgmental about some outer powers. I applied for a tourist visa 3 weeks later, and I got accepted. And when I arrived in New York 2 months later, I said to myself, never ever doubt God's plan. Let things work out for you instead of making things work out for you. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.
A, B,